Jalen Milroe was almost like a Heisman finalist type guy last year. He was right on the precipice. What happens if this new coaching staff actually does take his game to the next level?
The Alabama Crimson Tide, a team that has seen so much success over the last decade under Nick Saban, almost so much that people started to hate this team. But now Saban has retired, Kalen Deboer has taken over as the new head coach from Washington, and really, over the last few months, there have been so many changes with this program. And because of it, some people have written them off, but I don't think that's a fair thing to do, because this is Alabama football. People in Alabama live through this team. And even with a lot of transfers following the Saban retirement, this team is still loaded with talent. So I'm going to talk about what the outlook for Alabama football is in 2024 and everything that has been going on as of late. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 30K subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so first things first, I must state the obvious. Alabama fans must be nervous for the first time in decades. Kalen Deboer takes over for the legendary Nick Saban for the 2024 season. While Deboer helped lead the Washington Huskies into the college football playoff this past season, he takes on a whole new challenge by taking over for the greatest coach in college football history. There are plenty of unknowns heading into this season, including what to expect from quarterback Jalen Milroe and how the team will handle the departure of stars like Isaiah Bond and Caleb Downs. Those questions will eventually be answered, but for now, I want to make some bold predictions about how this season will go for Bama. First off, I think Jalen Milroe will be a Heisman finalist when the season ends. There's a lot of negativity surrounding him heading into this season. His wonky throwing mechanics and poor decision making at times have been widely criticized. However, there's a path to Milroe becoming one of the biggest stars in college football this year. Milroe has the arm talent and mobility to be a dangerous dual threat QB. One of his biggest issues last season was being able to throw the ball from a clean pocket, getting sacked 44 times on the season. It was the third most sacks taken in college football behind Grant Wilson and Shedeur Sanders, who had a horrific offensive line. A more experienced O-line should help with some of the protection issues. Meanwhile, Deboer is the perfect mentor to help Milroe maximize his talents. The new Bama head coach played a critical role in revitalizing Michael Penix Jr.'s career and getting him to be one of the top picks of the NFL draft in shocking fashion. And I really do believe he could do the same for Milroe in 2024. Besides, Milroe already finished 6th in Heisman voting last season. It won't take much of an improvement for him to be one of the top candidates for the award this time around. Next up, I think Malachi Moore will flirt with All-American consideration. As one of the longest tenured players on the Alabama roster, Moore is going to be one of the most important defensive players for the Crimson Tide. Moore has been with the program since 2020 when he earned second-team All-SEC honors as a true freshman. He's played in 52 games over his career, but has typically flown under the radar while other defensive stars have had the spotlight. That could change in 2024. Moore's coming off another solid season with 5 tackles for a loss, 5 pass breakups, and an interception. New Alabama defensive coordinator Kane Wommack brings a defensive scheme that requires hyper-aggressive safeties to fly downhill in a 4-2-5 alignment. This could help Moore see a big uptick in production. The departure of Caleb Downs means that the Crimson Tide need their other safeties to step up, and Moore should be able to do exactly that and finally have the breakout season fans have waited for since his promising freshman campaign. Anyways, things in college football just overall are changing big time this year. It is no longer just a 4-team playoff, now it's 12, so there's not as much pressure to be perfect in the regular season, which could slightly take away from the big games, but honestly, I am so glad the committee implemented this new change because oftentimes teams would choke and lose a game very early on in the season, and it was very hard to recover from. Basically, you couldn't lose again or the season was over. The reason I'm mentioning this is because with all the changes Bama just went through, they could lose an unexpected game early on in the season because obviously they are dealing with a brand new system and things can't click just like that without facing any adversity, especially playing in the SEC, which is the toughest conference in the game. Alright, moving on, now I want to talk about some of the new transfers and what they can bring to this team now and in the future. So first off, Cameron Howard. Howard was ranked as a 3-star player by 0-3 a year ago, but the other 3 services did not rank him at all after a solid career at the powerhouse St. Francis Academy. Howard was a full-time contributor and a part-time starter for Charlotte as a true freshman, racking up 36 tackles and a couple of interceptions in his debut season. He's a safety and slot corner who is likely to be viewed primarily as depth at the Husky or Rover positions in Alabama's defense. Next up, Deshaun Jones. After redshirting as a freshman, Jones has been a 2-year starter for Wake Forest at cornerback and has 60 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 10 pass deflections to his name against ACC competition. Along with USC transfer Domani Jackson, Jones brings the only collegiate starting experience at corner to the Alabama roster this season. Next up is King Mack. He's similar to Keon Sabb, but a year younger. King Mack was a highly coveted top 100 recruit from the powerhouse St. Thomas High School only a year ago. He made the 247 Freaks list, which lists out the 50 most impressive athletes in the recruiting class. Then there is Gino Vandemark. Vandemark worked his way into being a reserve lineman as a redshirt freshman in 2022 and wound up seeing plenty of playing time and a couple of starts with injuries to others. In 2023, he became the Spartans' full-time starter at right guard, but missed 4 games with injuries of his own. Then the final guy I want to mention is Graham Nicholson. Who would have thought that we'd see the day where Alabama has the Graza award-winning kicker on the roster? What crazy times we live in. Alright, now I want to go over Bama's 2024 schedule and predict their game-by-game record. Week 1, they face Western Kentucky. That will be a good game to get a feel for things, should be an easy win to start out 1-0. Next will be South Florida, another easy win to go 2-0. And then they go on the road to Wisconsin. This will actually be a pretty tough and gritty Big Ten matchup, but I think Bama wins this one close. And then the big matchup happens in week 4 against Georgia. Y'all are gonna hate me for this, but I'm saying a loss here, just because of the unknowns. But don't worry, they get 2 bounce-back wins the following weeks against Vanderbilt and South Carolina. And then they have to go on the road to Tennessee, and I'm giving Bama a huge win here on the road. Basically, in my head, I was choosing one or the other on the Georgia or Tennessee game, and this is the one I ended up picking them to win. Then they face Missouri, another tough opponent, but I have a win. Then they play LSU on the road. I have another L here because of the environment, but then the Tide bounce back and win the final 2 games of the season against Oklahoma and Auburn in the Iron Bowl to make the college football playoff. And then from there, anything can happen. I know some of you Bama fans might come at me for giving this team 2 losses, especially to Georgia and LSU, but look, like I've been talking about this whole video, the team has gone through some major changes, and you can't not expect any bumps in the road. But let me know how you guys think this team is going to do in the comments below. That's all I have for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.